Good morning and welcome to BuzzLocal.tv. Thanks for watching. I'm your host, Eric Jingles, and today we have International Man of Mystery, Mark Black, speaker and coach. Now, Mark has been on the public speaking circuit in Canada for how many years now?
12, I guess.
Oh, 12 years? Well, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming here to speak. Now, what I thought would be interesting today is that this is graduation season. And you can tell that by the amount of sequins and colorful dresses that are all around Victoria Park. But in graduation, there's a lot of mixed emotions, of course, right? I mean, you've got kids who are excited, they're finished high school, and other kids are kind of terrified because they go, what's going to happen next? So there can be a lot of conflicting emotions, I would think. And you do a lot of work, public speaking and conferences with teenagers, do you not?
I do, yeah, absolutely. I've been working with youth in some capacity for 15 years probably. So
what kind of things do you think that they're kind of rummaging through their heads? I mean, this is a tumultuous time. It can be. You got hormones involved, I guess, as well too. So, if kids are feeling a little lost, maybe, what kind of things would you maybe say to them that kind of help give them some focus?
Yeah, I would say first of all, it's normal. I think that there's a common belief when you're that age that you're supposed to have it all figured out, that, you know, after high school you do college or university or whatever that next thing is, and you just follow a sequence of preordained steps and it's all, you know, just all works out. And increasingly that's just not the case. I mean, the straight line career path is pretty much gone. You know, the career path that probably your parents followed is much more rare than it was 20, 30 years ago. And so first of all, just kind of be okay with the fact that you maybe don't have the answers right now. You know, figure out what you think you enjoy, and what you think you're good at, and try that, but also know that, you know, if you have to change careers or change paths or change majors or whatever in 2-3 years, that's fine. Or if you're not sure what to do at all, then that's okay too. And maybe you should be working or volunteering or doing something else, and to not, I guess you have to figure out what your priorities are, what your beliefs are, and where you want to go, and do what you think is going to be best for you instead of following what you think you're quote unquote supposed to do.
Do you find that a lot of kids do that? I mean, they sort of kind of go with the flow of what the group is doing, and not necessarily kind of follow their heart or their brain? Or
Absolutely. I mean, you see all the time. I can remember. It's been longer than I'd like to admit now, since I was at that point. But I can remember people talking to each other. Well, where did you apply? Well, what are you doing? And where are you going? And, oh, well, maybe I should apply there too. And did you hear about this program? Or, and people who picked their universities and colleges, certainly based on where their friends were going to go, or picked the fact even that they were going to go to college or university because that's what their friends were doing. And there's nothing wrong with higher education, obviously, but that may not be the right move for you. Maybe you're best in a trade school, or maybe you're best in an apprenticeship, or maybe you're best being an entrepreneur, or whatever your thing is. So I think being comfortable with uncertainty is important, because that's the nature of our world. I think even if you follow a more traditional path, quote unquote, you're still going to live in uncertainty, because the job market being what it is today, there are go land a job and work in the same place for 35 years is pretty much a non-existent thing now.
Mm-hmm. I suppose then university is along the same lines, right? I mean, if you, in terms of switching faculties, like not something to brag about, but I had a faculty of the month club. I mean, I switched from faculty to faculty to faculty, and so I like to think I'm a well-rounded individual. But it was hard. Like it's hard on you emotionally, or for your own psyche. You know, think, like, what the hell's wrong with me? Because, my buddies are sticking through and they're graduated with engineering or going into med school or whatever. And here I am kind of flip, trying to find your way. So it can be a hard kick, in the shins, when you're doing that, when you look around at everybody else. I think that, not to be too much of an armchair psychologist, but if you look at Facebook, they say that, Facebook makes people feel bad because they see people going to Florida or Cuba or whatever. They go, well, why am I just going to the mall? Like, what's wrong with me?
Right.
At least I feel that way. Help me, Mark.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a great saying that I remember often is comparison kills contentment. Yeah. Right. And so the more that we compare ourselves to anybody else, we're gonna ruin our ability to just be okay with where we're at, and that goes in both directions. I mean, you can compare yourselves to people who seem to be doing so much better and think, geez, why aren't I there? You can also compare yourself to people who are really, really struggling and think, well, how the heck how come I get to do this and that person? At the end of the day, who knows? I mean, do you the best way that you can, and be okay with that. I think that's a key to long-term happiness in general, and also to, success in the job world. But, I think students get to this point where, you're in grade 12, your path has been chosen for you for 13 years, right? I mean, you did kindergarten, and then you do grade 1, and then you do grade 2, and it's all laid out for you. And now all of a sudden, the sky is the limit, which sounds wonderful, but it's incredibly intimidating.
Right.
Because the sky's the limit. Like, what the heck do I do?
Where do I go? Yeah.
And if you're lucky enough to have a passion or something that you just feel like you were born to do, then awesome. But what I've discovered in meeting like thousands and thousands of young people is that most of us aren't lucky enough to be that way. We may discover a passion later in life. We may not. But most people don't come out of high school like, this is what I was meant to do. I know I've got to do this. They take a best guess. And so I heard this great line in a podcast I was listening to a few weeks ago, and it said, follow a curiosity. So don't expect yourself to have this, because I think a lot of us do. I think a lot of us expect to have this like big aha, light shines down from the sky moment where you're like, this is what I was meant to do, right? Yeah. Because we see that in the movies, and I just think for most of us, it's not how it happens. It slowly unravels, and you kind of figure it out as you go along. And so that whole idea of being curious is a lot less intimidating to me. Because if you ask somebody, what are you really passionate about? Most people kind of go, gee, I don't know.
Right.
What interests you? What are you curious about? What do you enjoy doing? What do you lose track of time doing? And those are probably some good hints into things that you want to explore. And maybe it'll be your thing, and maybe it won't, but it's at least an avenue to pursue.
You had, I don't know if it's part of your book, but I saw it on your website talking about mental health and wellness, and that sometimes people can get into a spot where they've got some thoughts that aren't as all sunshiny as perhaps everyone would like them to be. Should somebody find themselves in that kind of position, when they go to school, they go to a transition into university, and they feel they're alone, or if they they're just kind of feeling a little glum, is there something they should focus on?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think number one is assuming that if it's lasts more than a couple of weeks and it's, dramatically different from how you normally feel, then you need to talk to somebody. You need to get, I hate the term get help, because I think that makes it sound really intimidating or weird. Just talk to somebody. Just let people know how you're feeling. Number one, you'll discover if you share that a lot more people are going through the same kind of thing that you are than you probably think, because people put on the mask and pretend everything's cool when it's not. And number two, it gets better. I mean, so what you're referring to on the website is that I went through a transition period after a major surgery where major heart double lung transplant, and in a sense, it's analogous to school in the sense that for about a year and a half, my sole purpose was to survive the next day. Right? It was like, I'm dying unless I get this transplant. All we need to do is focus our attention on survival. And the idea was we were chasing this carrot called getting a transplant, and that was going to solve all the problems. And after the transplant, I realized, well, no, I traded one set of problems for another set of problems that are better, but they're still issues. And, I think school is, and any kind of path we take in life is the same thing. You chase for 12 years, graduation, right? And then I'm going to be graduated, and then I get to quote unquote be an adult, or whatever that means, or whatever.
All answers will be revealed,
right? Whatever we think that's supposed to mean, and then you get there and you go, oh crap, now what? Right? Like,
where's
now
the answer package?
What am I supposed to do now? And so again, it goes back to learning to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, which I think is a challenge we all have to deal with. And being willing to ask for help when you need help, and that we all need help sometimes, and that's just part of life. And the sooner you're okay with that, the quicker and shorter that period of difficulty has to be.
Yeah. Well, Mark, thanks so much for coming in. I know this is a big time for a lot of kids, and it's nice to have a more perspective from, like I said, you've talked to thousands of kids and have talked to them, and to know that it's normal. Be comfortable with who you are. And I remember, I think it was I don't know, it was Lady Bird Johnson, Lyndon Johnson's wife, who said the only person who can make you feel bad about yourself is yourself. Right, and sometimes it sounds easy, but it's true.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Yeah, we're our own worst enemies. Yeah.
Well, I feel much better. Thank you very much, Mark, for coming in. It was a real pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric.
Mark Black, public speaker, and go to his website, markblack.ca, if you'd like to have Mark come speak at any of your sessions. Thanks again, Mark.
Thanks.